We now cross live to our colleague in Cape Town, Vanessa Poonah, who was there. Vanessa, very good morning to you. What's the Executive Mayor saying this morning?
Yes, good morning to you. And what Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis told us here at this knowledge sharing session is that Cape Town wants to become the very first city in South Africa to be free of load shedding. And in order to do this, they've made some exciting announcements. The first, for example, is a small-scale embedded generators can now produce more than what they need and also sell that back to the city of Cape Town. And the city then in its stead will be paying in cash for this additional electricity. But let me bring in Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis now. Mayor, earlier this month you highlighted a 10-point plan to end load shedding in South Africa. But of course today's announcements speak specifically to a small-scale embedded generation. Yes. Who exactly are you speaking to and what are you proposing?
Today we are speaking to anyone who has a factory or a warehouse or any building with a really big roof. We want to incentivize them to install solar panels and generation capacity on that roof and sell the power back to the city. In the past, we've said that you have to use more than you give back to the city. You have to be what's called a net consumer. We're now reversing that and saying that you can produce as much as you want. There's no net consumption requirement. You can feed it back to the city. And importantly, we will pay you for it in cash. In the past, again, we've only allowed you to run a credit against your municipal bill. We will now send you cash. And this is a first for South Africa. And it's really our hope that it causes a huge uptake in interest and investment in the SSEG space, the embedded generation space, and that it really helps us on our journey towards ending load shedding.
Mayor, we've also heard that stage 6 load shedding, for example, costs the country billions, but Cape Town in specifically something like 400 million rand a day. Yes. You're also hoping to eventually roll this out to, say, me. Are they able to become a net producer of electricity? Explain to us what your plans are going forward.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly our intention, to roll it out to any resident of Cape Town who wants to participate. Residential, business, commercial, industrial, you name it. At the moment, we're starting with businesses who have got big factories because they've got the biggest roof space, and so they can help us test the system and prove that it works, and then we can expand it to residential customers thereafter. But that is absolutely our intention.
Does this mean in the near term cheaper electricity for consumers? What is the immediate goal, and eventually can we see cheaper electricity?
Our immediate and singular obsession is to end load shedding in Cape Town. A side benefit of that, an important side benefit, is that the more that we can reduce our reliance on Eskom and start buying independent power and renewable power, like from you and businesses and so on, the cheaper that power is, because it is already so much cheaper than Eskom power. You can then start to pass that saving on to customers. But absolutely, our policy obsession is how do we end load shedding as quickly as we can.
Your 10-point plan, feedback on that proposal, has there been any, and how do you feel about that?
The President seems to have been somewhat more occupied with various conferences around the country and so on, so I'm afraid it's been radio silence from the Presidency, and we still haven't heard him table the plan that he promised. He said it would come within a few days. It's now 2 weeks later, and we still haven't heard it. But you know what? That's up to him to have to account and answer for. We are getting on with our own plan so that we can be the first to end load shedding.
Thank you very much for speaking to me. Of course, Cape Town Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis there, just talking to us a bit about the announcements that they've made as the City of Cape Town here today in terms of those small-scale embedded generators, and also then urging all companies to come forward. I know that there is a process that needs to be followed, an application that needs to take place for which the deadline is the 31st of August. So, of course, on all the city's platforms, I suppose, those interested will have more information. Of course, at the end of the day, the aim is the end game, and that, of course, is to end load shedding in Cape Town. Just one of the measures that the City of Cape Town says it is taking to make sure that the inconvenience and also the loss of revenue comes to an end with the end of load shedding in Cape Town.
Vanessa, thank you so much for